Welcome to episode 4. I'm Renee, and this is Lisa.
Lisa Marie.
And we have Mark Larson as our guest today, and he's calling in from Singapore, one of our
Yes.
favorite places.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is the most interesting person I know in ultra running, and he will actually dress up and do power hours screaming and gathering up everybody and just
Yeah.
but there's also another side that he's smiling and making sure everyone's having a good time, and he will admit when he's having a bad time as well.
I try to forget
Yeah.
about those, but yeah,
I don't.
I know. I was like, oh, I better work on that part of my game.
All right. Should we get started?
So do you have a race? But don't tell us.
Don't tell what race it is yet. So we just want.
I do. Yeah, I do have a race. Yeah,
All right.
I haven't
Yep.
picked it
So
up.
what was your
So I
running
keep it a
time on this?
secret.
Yep, you keep it a
Yes.
secret.
Until the end.
I don't know how
You
you guys are
can't
gonna
keep
figure this.
it.
I don't know how you guys are gonna figure this out. Yeah, the running time. It's a timed event, and
Okay.
it's 6 days.
6 days. Gee, I don't know how to figure that one out. So that's 144 hours. Um, and what was your travel time to this event?
The travel time. So my travel time one way between 7 and 8 hours.
Okay. And backwards and
Yeah,
then
that's
back?
it. Yeah, 7 8 hours each way. Yeah,
Okay, so we'll just put it at
So you
15.
flew.
yeah, yeah. Driving. It was a longer drive actually. Was a little over driving and parking and all that stuff was about half of
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah,
Well, that's
direct
good.
flight, so that was pretty easy.
I'm impressed. You got a .9 score, which means that 90% of your time on this thing was running and not traveling to and from the place.
Well, if you would have actually happened to have been there and saw me for some of it, running is a strong word, as we know, as we do call it
Well,
ultra running.
you're
I
very
wish I would have
generous.
spent 90. I wish I would have spent 90% running. I would have gone more over. I would have gone over my goal.
We are very generous with the term running when it comes to this.
Yeah, I see that. I appreciate that. I did spend a lot of that time on my feet, but running
You
Yeah,
did.
not as
You
much as
did.
I wanted to.
well,
I mean,
moving
not that I
time.
know that or anything.
All right. So what was the race fee for
The
this?
race fee, with I think I might have had like one small extra. Everything it was around 900.
All right.
I'm kind of guesstimating
Yeah.
yeah, with all the because I think the sticker on it was less, but some of that was for ultra sign up fee, and I think I had
Yeah.
another some kind of add on or something.
Yeah.
So that yeah,
Well,
it was right around 900.
okay. That's good. That's what about your travel cost?
The travel cost, I have that. So I had one question about that. I have that around 1,000, and so I'm kind of going with flight, rental car, gas, those things.
Yes. Yes.
One thing that's left out is just for this particular event, uh, spent another between two people, myself and my dad. We
Okay.
split up some accommodation during the event, so that would
Okay.
have added about another $500 a person. So I'm not sure
Okay.
if that was because it
Yeah,
was kind of a unique
yeah,
thing in
it's
a race, but
well, so if it's after you travel to the event, those
yeah.
costs, I guess we should count that in.
Yeah.
So yeah, 1,500 will
So
be.
I would say, yeah, for me it was kind of like if it was really kind of getting there and the pre of the event, yeah, it was about 1,000, and then being there. And in this particular event, obviously people they don't really have to spend any more on accommodation if they don't want to, if they want to
Yeah.
camp during the event. So yeah, it was kind of 1,000, maybe more likely what someone would spend or could be if they're just if they're flying in and trying to get some kind of access to a rental car. But if,
Right.
yeah, if not, you can kind of do it. You can kind of do it at all levels. You know what I mean in terms of cost.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true. And what about nutrition? Did you just go with
nutrition.
all the aid station food, or did you buy extra for yourself?
Did you eat
Uh,
McDonald's? A bunch of it?
yeah, I had definitely there was definitely some extra money spent on the. So I probably didn't do as well in this area. It wouldn't. Um, so yeah, I kind of guesstimated around 300 extra 300 extra spent,
Yeah.
and to kind of the breakdown of some of the things that were spent. I think there's no question that you could really do this whole event off the aid station and have a great time and
Yeah.
eat really well and enjoy yourself. For me, coming into the event, which is it's quite funny, part of picking this one, number one, it being incredibly fun, but also it's the only actually event I've done each year of the last 3 years. So most of my
Okay.
other ultra type of experiences have been kind of more like informal, long trail type of fast
Right.
packing, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and so part of what drew me to this format or the 6 day, the multi-day, was I found when I was doing that kind of thing, I really liked being able to eat a lot of food at once, like a big meal. And nobody, I mean, it's kind of counter to probably good running racing, and for myself as well. It was like in terms of just really being able to, put in 1,500 calories like at once and keep going. And so I was definitely having some off the aid stations, and then I was lucky enough to have my dad, who was in this particular edition of the race, going out from time to time
Yeah.
to get some fast food and other kinds of things. So probably about half of it was that, and then the other half was just different kinds of mostly drink like coffee drinks and some that made up the most of the rest of the kind of nutrition fueling. It's not a bulletproof nutrition plan. It's kind of like the if you've ever heard of how David Goggins talks about some of his experiences of eating crackers and whatever, in terms of
Yeah.
just like it's kind of like, was there a nutrition plan? I had a lot more calories than he had in some of the ways he talks about things, but just from the novice level of like, there's not a lot of good science behind this except just trying to eat and drink, and so yeah, a lot of coffee drinks, and then a couple of things just to snack on at my station, and then some M&Ms and things like that would make up the extra money spent, but totally would not have been necessary, and especially if I had specific more dietary preferences. Like the
Yeah.
aid station is actually also really sounds like a really awesome place for those eating more specific thing, eating vegan or eating other things like that. They seem to be
Yeah.
extremely accommodative. So
Okay. So how much do you spend on the shoes? Because I'm guessing for 6 days you probably used more than one pair of shoes.
yes.
Yeah.
I have it around like $375 for, and that's for kind of I don't know if they were all bought at exactly that amount. I was getting those shoes for around 125. Yeah, I so split between three pair. Might have had brought something else with a little use on it, but I think I want to say I really came in with like three pair, either unused or very lightly used, and so and pretty much kind of like stuck to kind of trying to change them out. Maybe something every, change out once a day or something like that, or every 12 hours, kind of rotate a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
What was the shoe?
So I was, they were all Ultra brand, and I had the Ultra Olympus, and then I had the trail version, and then I think the other one was just the Via Olympus, something their road version. And to be honest, I think that ultimately, maybe I don't know, the road one maybe seemed just a little softer or something. Like it feels like for this race, I've enjoyed those. My feet have liked those shoes more.
Okay.
Whereas I'm typically almost everything else. It's like on a trail or a crossover or whatever. I'm typically Just gonna stick with the trail shoes.
Right.
And, but yeah, they did. Yeah, my feet from a comfort standpoint, held up pretty well. So I feel like I didn't do my job out there. I should have been on my feet more if I left feeling okay.
Awesome. So the last on the cost thing is essentials. Did you buy any, let's say, running specific essentials like anti-chafing or
New shorts,
nippies?
new
Yeah.
wigs.
Yeah. So that was one of the nice things, benefits of this, at least returning to this or a similar style event. I know a lot of people have events sometimes, all kinds of different distances that they like do each year. But because this one is so long, and I, have a costume and I have other things that I would just bring that I would never bring to another race because it would just have too much and I would never maybe cross it or I couldn't move it around. It's just sort of like bring the whole kitchen, whatever with you, and then use what you use. And
Right.
and so what was really nice is I found the first, a few years ago, I kind of added some things to the kit, whether it was just some extra, whatever it was, some extra shorts that particularly I liked or whatever it may be, and or some, just an accumulation of Body Glide and other things that, throughout the year added to that. But not a lot spent. I think, compared to some of the total cost of everything, I put about $100 for this. The main part of that expense really was just sort of like an add-on during the event, which was a few pairs of some high-quality socks.
Right.
So I brought a kind of a variety of a mishmash of socks with me. I tend to be someone who most of the clothing I'm just all my shirts are tech shirts that were given to me from races, and then I kind of throw in some shorts here and there, and then I just have all these weird different pairs of socks. Like I don't think that much about like what I'm putting on my feet.
I like that.
And it's usually okay because in my head I'm like, oh, I just do this all the time. They're fine. They're adjusted. Like I don't need to have this specific thing. But this particular edition, the other two were fine. I did have a blister my first year, but this particular event, I found I just got a lot of dirt in the shoe. I think it was like thinner or something at one point, so it was like coming in and kind of drying out my feet a little more. So 3 days in, I was a little bit like, okay, there's some kind of burning going on that's not a problem yet, but it could be like a devastating problem. It feels like if it keeps going that way. And so lucky having my dad as a crew there, he was able to go pick up some socks. So that was probably $65 of that cost. And then the other thing was like some sunscreen and a couple other ibuprofen, some other like knickknacks, a couple of things for our station. I picked up some kind of like little storage bins and things to move stuff around a little bit. That was harder to travel with. So not a lot. It would have been I would have been easy to not really spend anything outside of the socks, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're frugal. That's what I gotta say.
Yeah.
I get that.
Okay, so your score on the cost was 0.28, which means that you spent less than one third on the race fee. Just pick
Yeah.
a more expensive race to bring the score up.
Yeah. I guess I gotta send them a message and, and tell
Oh,
them increase my fee.
oh, yeah.
Okay, and then to get to the results. So, what was your mileage at this event?
It was around. It was so for the full event, it was around 362 or so. I think it might be maybe even 362.5 or something.
Oh, and what was your goal mileage?
So I think I definitely came in from previous events thinking like, okay, it's really hard to know what's going to happen. But I still was definitely chasing more of like the elusive 400 seems to be kind of like a number that is quite challenging in the 6 day. you need some things to go right, and it just seems like you can do math on paper, and you're like, of course, like this is just how it works, and then when it rolls out, you're just kind of like, what's going on here? Like, how did the, and so yeah, I fell short of that a bit, but how the actual, it was really fascinating to see how I just barely slightly PR'd from the year previous. This is my third year at this event, and third time really in this kind of lengthy 6-day, real multi-day thing. And so it was really funny to see the breakdown of the race, and to kind of finish with a nice push for the last 12 hours, whereas the year prior, I was much ahead of the pace. I was running a lot better, running a lot more, but really it kind of ended with me being in more of an injury where I just really didn't do much in the last 13 hours. Like, I think I did very few miles. So it was a different layout of a different thing, and to walk away without an injury too was quite cool. And, do the next activities and things, like just to see like, okay, yeah, I can do this kind of distance, and for another time, and yeah, so it was pretty cool. Up until the very end, I didn't really, I kind of wasn't thinking about a PR. At some point, I was thinking about a jacket, because it was kind of like in the range. And then it was just like, wait a second, there might be some time. So,
Totally
All right.
understand that.
And that score gave you a 0.47 because you were kind of close to your goal, but you weren't really.
okay. Out of what's the total on that one? Is that out of 10?
No, it goes from this is the one where you can actually get more than one on the score. So that
Okay,
can,
gotcha.
yeah. So basically, it's just that how many miles did you do out of your actual goal?
Okay,
Yeah, we're still working on these
yeah,
formulas a little bit, so
sure.
there might be adjustments down the
Is
line.
there a number? Is there a certain number that's obvious? Like, if you see it, that okay, they hit their goal or surpass, is kind
If,
of
if
works
you
in a
hit your
way where they
goal,
can.
if you hit your goal, it's probably going to be about one,
Okay,
like spot on, right? So
gotcha. Okay.
But we've all got work to do.
yeah.
So I want my number to come down on this one.
So yeah. So your total return on investment on this race
Oh, that's
is
good.
0.55.
Okay.
So that I, we don't know what that means.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing numbers together and splitting them up. Um,
Sure.
so, but you get on a scorecard, so we got a little scoreboard, so that's
Yeah.
hopefully growing with every guest. So,
Perfect.
so
Yeah, you'll know what all it means with more data.
Yeah.
exactly, yeah,
Well, see, now I get to take over with the fun factor.
Oh,
yeah.
good.
What did you rate the aid station?
The
I know
aid
you have
station,
to explain.
even though I didn't really utilize it. I think like a lot of runners, just because I had a crew from time to time going out and grabbing whatever junk I was curious in eating. Not, making it clear, I'm not a clean eater, especially during a long race. But yeah, I think that the what's on offer and the availability and everything, and it's a bit easier to do because of their event, but it's just the seeming around the clock nature of it. So I gave it a 10, just because it felt like that you could get whatever you needed when you needed, and there was always some friendly face,
Right.
at all hours of the night, and even for some that were there maybe volunteering the whole time or for multiple days. I mean, it's quite a long time, and you're seeing a lot of faces, the same faces, which may
Do.
be great or maybe a challenge, just over and over. The quantity of aid that people can and do take, I'm sure, is
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
such a huge thing. Like, it's just constant. So my hat's off to them, and just plenty of great options. Yeah, so that was sometimes I went through even if I wasn't going to eat, just to kind of get some, good energy
For a hug, huh?
thank them. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
them and everything. For yeah. So yeah, I have to give that one a 10.
Right on.
Awesome.
Okay, so here's my big one. What was your fun factor number?
Fun factor, I would say just it kind of speaks for itself that I just couldn't help but go back to this particular event, even though I haven't been doing as many races in the last number of years. So it was definitely at the minimum a 10, um, and enough to the point where I'm like, God, if I don't go back and run it or something in a future year, just to go back and tailgate it. And just to get to sit in some of those chairs that you're watching other people just hang out, like the guy with the big dog. He's sitting in the comfy chair the whole time watching runners go by and watching people go through their states and just do incredible things and have a good time and stuffed animals wandering around the race and silhouettes of baseball players making their way, very heavy ones, sort of
Right.
making their way around the course, silly things and like that, and just a format that allows you to really, while it's not like a last runner standing type race, a kind of pacing for a lot of runners out there that allows you to socialize and just kind of connect with people. Yeah, it's as much of a running, walking, moving festival as it feels like that to me. And so yeah, definitely, I'd max on the fun for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
we should try this race one
We
day.
should try this race. This sounds
Yeah, I really think you guys would like. I think it would suit you guys. Yeah, you should definitely let me know if you do. Yeah, I
Okay.
don't know. If we ever cross paths there,
That'd be
fun. I
awesome.
think we'd have a good time. I think you could bring out some good energy.
Definitely.
How about trail markings? Were there any?
So for this particular, just being a real short course, quite intuitive. I think it was
How
pretty
short?
obvious where the course was kind of heading. Pretty much for the full event. Although it being a six, there were for me in my head there were a lot of times like think of things and seeing some of the participants out there who are really incredibly able to put so much time on the course and go in the tank in terms of like the lack of sleep. I'm not in that camp or at least laying down. So I always have these visions in my head of just picturing people kind of, even with the simplicity of the course, kind of making a turn or, a wrong turn or winding up kind of in the middle somewhere in this facility. But no, pretty simplistic, pretty easy to follow. And in this particular year, one directional. That's kind of one of the things like in the previous edition where there was kind of a little bit of course overlap where I was kind of almost worried for a second, how are they going to do this? But by running it both directions. But this year, going one way, you probably could literally eventually do some parts of it in your sleep.
Yeah.
How long was the course? You keep saying that
Yeah.
is
It's
it,
I think it clocked around 1.4 miles or so, something like that. I didn't have I just had my Casio, so it doesn't track. It doesn't track for that. And then it even it's kind of fading. I don't know. It's a little bit on the time. It goes up to an hour, so it's perfect for this kind of thing. Because you just, you don't want to know what's going on, what time of day it is, or whatever.
That's true.
Just look
Yeah.
at the sun. But yeah, I want to say it came in about 1.4, and I think traditionally it's been about a mile, but the last couple of years just happened to be about 1.4. Although the course, the facility has changed for the course, and yeah, so.
yeah.
All right.
Okay, how about the weather? Oh, what would you give the trail markings?
No, if there's no trail markings,
Oh,
we
there's
don't
none.
count it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the weather, what would you give the weather?
The weather, yeah, I think for the nature of this particular event, I'd probably still say a 10. Like I'm a big dry weather person, and there's definitely some fluctuations where I would have been happy to have some cooler weather at parts, or just a little, maybe some less direct sunlight. But for the time of year and like what, it was just kind of a thing of the balance of how cool it may be versus how warm it may be. I feel like a lot of times it was really in a sweet spot if it's a kind of race that you're gonna be out for a big chunk of 24 hours a day,
Right.
So I found that to be, just really, slight considerations for me during the daytime, middle of the daytime, when it's like, okay, if the sun's a little bit stronger, but still, I wouldn't. I wouldn't really, unless you can get that perfect thing where you say, okay, now we'll just keep it at 60, keep it at 60 Fahrenheit, and it'll just stay there. Just judging by that there's going to be a natural change in the temperature. I liked where the middle ground really fell, and
So
just
you didn't feel like
beautiful.
you swamp cooler?
Yeah, big fan of the dry, weather, and that's another thing too. Is just I don't know this type of event in a more humid environment. I think that I would feel more, heat, wetness related things coming on, and just feel a stronger urge to shower more regularly. So that allows it to kind of get by a little bit more longer periods of time, being a bit drier.
Yeah. Okay, well, how about those pacers? Did you have a pacer at all?
This is again my third time in this particular event, and was able to have my father come out for a previous edition and this particular one this past year, and he actually joined in on the race, and so we joined up for some miles. In that previous edition, he kind of came out specifically with me because he was coming out with like a pacer bib and kind of came out at that time. And so we got some miles in together. But he also kind of got really into hitting his mark, going over 100 miles, which was really cool. And but it was just quite funny because I kind of thought that we would jump on for more miles, but I want to say out of his 100 miles, like I don't think we could have done more than 20 of those together.
Oh, really?
So we kind of got off on a little bit of a different. It was just a different dynamic than the year prior, whenever he wasn't in the race, and then also he got a little bit on his own, sort of how he broke the course down, about where he ran and walked and those kind of things. So it was at the same time. It's really easy to latch on to other unofficial pacers.
Right. So everybody was a pacer there.
Yeah, it's kind of it was a real easy event. It's a really easy event being a timed event and how it kind of operates. And if you're there for one of the longer days, or at any time, to find someone to pace off of. So from that standpoint, it's an excellent race to just find somebody to kind of, pace off of, and often to speak to at times, and and so it was. I would rate it high on that. In my specific pacing situation, it was kind of like 50-50 this particular year, but yeah.
Okay.
When I'm in these long races, I kind of get into this thing on day 5, and I start thinking about semi trucks, and I'm like, I'm going to drift off this runner in front of me and steal all their energy.
Oh yeah. You're drafted there.
Drafted,
Well,
that's
enough loops. I mean, you're at half a mile, up that little saber.
So with your dad being your official pacer, how did he do on a scale from 1 to 10?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
how
don't
would
know if
you
he's
rate
gonna.
that?
I don't know if he's gonna see this.
Well,
I don't know. I don't think he'll ever see this. So I'll say, so this is gonna tie in, and I might be getting ahead of myself because he was kind of pacer crew. To give a quick background, I think this is the only known race that he's ever been in, in some period of time. So it's a really novel thing like, and the only other race I think that he has, that I can remember in recent times, a couple different ones. One was another ultra that he kind of came out that was just so close to home. It was actually at Bayou Chico. I don't know if you've heard of that particular one in Louisiana.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
one of those few 100 milers in Louisiana, and he came out for that. And another one was the Denver Marathon many years ago, and neither one of them had to do with crew pacing anything. It was just to
Right.
kind of come out there. So what I'm getting at is that him not ever really, doing ultras or racing at all. It's just literally if you just took anybody off the street that really knew nothing about it at all. So there's just no real instincts for what is going on, what what somebody may need or not, like how anything would work. And so it was. So I think that I had him out there the year before where he wasn't focused on moving at all. So he was kind of sort of, hey, what do you need? I'm here. Or do you need anything? And so this time around, he was kind of really focused, I think, on getting his 100 miles. So I would, yeah, it would probably be like a 3 or a 4,
Oh,
which is I know is kind of a painful, but it was. But I was happy that he hit his. I was happy that he was out there. I just
right.
if we were coming in the same situation to a future event, I would just think to myself, okay, I don't have some of the support I was thinking about having. I don't think that I have that. And just because he was tended to be often like sometimes out on the course, and we didn't have a good system. He had a heavy phone. He didn't want to take it with him, so didn't really have a good way to a good communication system. Because before he was in the bunk reading a lot the year prior, and just kind of on standby. So it was, but it was really neat. The other part about that, not to go too far on it, that's so fascinating is so. He was trying to help me think through different things to do, but I think that if you haven't ever had any of the experiences of covering even just a few days in a row a marathon distance, which is incredibly far, but it's like, once you get that feeling of your body's getting fatigued and you start to listen to it, he would ask things kind of like, well, why are you slowing down? Why aren't you running the sections you ran before? And I mean, this is like 250 miles in, and I'm kind of like,
Yes.
I'm like, well, yeah, I thought that that would just be obvious. Like something feels like at any point, I don't know if my shin's gonna explode. Like, I mean, this is only the third time I've been over 200 in that time in a race. Like, and I can feel it, and so just trying to make sure I don't completely blow up. And you're watching everybody around you do the same thing. It's kind of like, why is everybody kind of slowing down over it? It's like maybe it's the hundreds of miles they've done and the fatigue. And so he got to around, he got a certain number of miles under his belt, and then it became clear that okay, yeah, he could hit 100 because we didn't talk about what he might specifically do. It was, I told him, hey, you might be able to go out for 15 a day
Yeah.
and then see, and maybe you can get even close to 100, and that will be what double at least of what you've ever covered in a week, and not super strenuous preparation either. And he got close to 100, and I think maybe about 5 miles before that, he had some kind of something off of his ankle, like a noticeable, lasting kind of glitchy something, some kind of injury or something. And he was able to finish and walk off whatever. But it was just this light bulb moment. And I didn't say much to him, but I just wanted to, yeah, so like there's a breakdown that happens. Like, and this is why I also told you, be careful, don't, like, you could go out the first day and do 25. I know you could. But
Yeah.
you may not do as much as you want in the whole thing. You may be completely done. At day 2, once you're, the the onset muscle soreness and all that stuff, late onset and all that, whatever comes on, mentally you may just say, "Oh my gosh, I can't even walk," you
Yeah,
Right.
know.
that's true.
So, but it was really cool to just see that, see him do that and be out there, and then he was tried to be available, especially my last push. He had kind of hit his number, and I think his ankle sat him down. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, your dad sounds awesome. Oh wait, I
Yeah,
know
it was fun. I'm happy that he chose to
he is
come. The first
awesome.
time, I was surprised the first time he ever came out, because he's also not. He's not. He's much more introverted in a sense. We've hosted a couple of like backyards at our place actually, and I think it probably gives him some anxiety. But he's very generous with hosting and wants to see that things are done well and that people are taken care of. So it's really great in that sense. And but yeah, so it was just kind of neat to see him do that distance, and kind of want to come back to it. So I'm really
Yeah.
curious to even see what he's thinking for a future year, because it's just a different thing for him than he's done before. So it's really neat.
Awesome.
Gonna have to get him on.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so how about any blisters, any chafing, anything that we don't talk about but we know happens?
Yeah.
You know, porta potty incidents. Did you have any of these things go on?
Yeah,
Oh, we yeah.
I had a mostly like pretty much clean race from that standpoint. I, I, in this particular year that like where part of the course, there was like a kind of an increase of like fixed room like typical bathrooms, public bathrooms versus I feel like, my body got adjusted to kind of like, oh, I use this one or this one, so you know. Then I had some porta potty stops, but then they had the other, with the facilities how they were this year, that particular year, they had so many had
So,
other good
so
options.
you, so you got into that situation where, oh, there's that building, and your bladder says, oh, we want to go there.
Yeah, exactly. It was guiding me. I let the bladder do the guiding. It has its own sensitivities. But porta potty on occasion, blisters and chafing. No real. I was heavily glided up, um, typically, in the
Yeah.
spots that I usually get some chafing or windburn or things like that. So no, I actually didn't have any issues with that, and I tend to suffer more from the wet weather, heavy shirt kind of thing. A lot of that kind of rubbing that can happen, and because the environment is just so dry and as dry as can be, I just didn't really stay wet ever. The one thing that I had in that department, which I kind of mentioned before about getting some different socks, was was the part of the course, maybe say a third of the course or something, maybe more than that, was it felt like some kind of dirt road that was just something about that. It felt almost like it was like a thin enough dirt, like it was coming through the shoe more. I don't know if
Yeah.
you guys have had that happen before, where at a different course of the same event, a different facility, go running in dirt. I wasn't having the same thing. I wasn't having that happen at all. Whereas this one, I was just really having the dirt cake. And I'm saying that I like that as well because I was using gaiters. So I was pretty much covered up. So there shouldn't have been a lot of dirt getting in another way. But I was definitely just having a lot of dirt in the shoe, and a lot of dirt in the shoe and the sock. And it was seeming to cause on a couple of spots. I had some kind of too low cut socks, and it was kind of causing some issues like on my lower part of like upper foot, lower ankle meeting point.
Yeah.
I think it was causing a little bit of irritation, and then just more sock changes basically. I would say
Right.
than I would have at some points, and trying to dump out some of the dirt out of the shoe a little bit. Uh,
In my
so
mind, I'm seeing like a cavalcade of sand coming out of your shoe.
yeah, I was
And
thinking I was kind of like After it, I'm like, I need to really, beat out the shoes and like I'm collecting the cores, like taking it with me after a few
Take a little
units of
bottle
sleeping.
and
Yeah, that kind of thing. Because that's been happening, after where I had just, because I got some shoes that were stuck in a bag because they were so dusty and dirty. And then I
Right.
brought them out in some other environment and heading out of the house in them. And they seem like they're not that dirty, but then all this little
all of a
dust
sudden,
is falling out of them everywhere and
Yeah.
stuff.
shoe
So.
dandruff.
The shoe
Yeah,
dandruff.
exactly. So, but not too
So,
bad, honestly. It was easy for me. There was a point where it was a few days in where I thought, okay, if I don't change something, I may really have an issue. But other than that, it was all just a little bit in my head. Okay, this looks like it's going to a bad place, but it never
Right.
yeah,
kind of came to be, which was great. I mean, you never. It's like wow to go through that much time and distance and not really feel like you have those kind of foot problems is that
yeah.
immediately can really make things more challenging.
Okay. So what are we giving that an 8?
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, how about trail nap comfort? And we all know I see trail naps in two different ways. Did you fall or did you take a nap on the course? And it
Uh-huh.
seems like you probably slept on the course, yeah?
Sure.
Do you have,
Yeah. So this one, it's unique in that how it was a short course timed event. I my first year at this event, it had this kind of I guess it's starting to look like more and more like a freak weather situation where it just rain. It's in a place where it doesn't rain often. It rains a little bit during the winter, but not much in quantity, and it just kind of rained for the 12 hours before the race, and then many hours during the race, and this particular place I was set to camp that I rented from the race organizers was about 6 inches of water to go to and from like every time for the actually the whole race basically, and there wasn't a like real easy alternative solution. Uh, so that was a really big challenge. So once I learned that okay, you can kind of like rent an RV or you can get a van or even a tent and like set it up in these other places and everything. Then I was like, I'm gonna go
yeah,
luxury on this one, like I'm gonna be out here for 6 days, like per day. It's worth it to do that. And then my dad came along, and we just kind of chopped up those costs, and yeah. So I had a really comfortable for a long racing situation. Really comfortable setup, like a bed setup where I could kind of go right off the course and
Yeah.
so I wish I would have fallen asleep more. That's kind of like this elusive mystery type of thing I'm trying to figure out because I find that even if I fall asleep for a few hours, not so much the time off feet, but just something about when I actually do fall asleep. From a body, I don't know the science behind it, but even from some kind of body adaptation standpoint, I've noticed anytime I'm able to fall asleep at all, it's quite a good thing. So. I think I might have been asleep for maybe this event was maybe I don't know, I think I was asleep for maybe 8 hours total, but I laid down for a lot, like way more time than that. Just couldn't
right.
really fall asleep. So it helped a ton. It always helped to be off the feet, but yeah, super easy race to have, as have some great trail naps. In terms of falls or those kinds of things. Um, Yeah, I think I managed to get by unscathed, but it's definitely a risk at any time, just because you get your gait is just this diminishing return thing going. It's like you're just the gate's shrinking and your foot height, you're not getting your feet off the ground too much. But a lot of this particular time was on such flat surfaces, hard surfaces that it was like, you know it's good. It would be pretty embarrassing. You really have to trip over your own feet. Which can
Yeah,
happen, which is
it
super
could
easy
happen.
to
Yeah.
do. But yeah.
How about your mental state? What was that
Uh,
like?
mental. So this mental state is kind of like um, I would say I'd probably still put this at a 10, but I would say that's because more it fluctuates from a 15 to a 5. You know, it's more of an
Yeah.
average of like off the charts to okay, this is never a just not having something that really got to the point of really like, oh, it's taken me out. Um, there's some highs, definitely some highs and lows. But the highs are just so high, and the opportunity to be out there and then just see other people's highs and lows and like what they're doing, just to be a spectator there and on the course, to see
Yeah.
what different people are doing and thinking like, wow, they're doing this too, and this is how they're, how they're moving now and whatever things. So, I would say. Uh, Coming into the race, talking about the mental part of it, definitely comparing this edition to another of the same race, my mental game was definitely better this time around. I think physically, I came in with a lot of less running preparation for this particular one, but it was the kind of some mental preparation to kind of say, well, there's still time left here, and you're not injured. It doesn't
Yeah.
seem like 400's in the cards, but can you keep moving for this last part and keep rolling on and just a satisfaction of not letting it get me down. The idea that I kind of fell short of this number, but to say, wow, this is just the third time I'm putting up anything close to this in a kind of
Right.
event,
Yeah.
and to do it and just to do that successfully again, I was pretty. You get to be impressed with yourself for 5 minutes, and
Right.
then go back
And
to
you
the
can always
to the
try
feeling
again.
of go back to the feeling of like, oh come on, man, why
Yeah.
don't you do this?
Yeah. Let's see what else is there. Oh,
Hallucinations.
hallucinations. Did you have any?
So hallucinations, this because of the ability to sort of to rest, like lay down and rest a lot
Yeah.
and be so fueled. It's kind of like I would say I'd rate it really low. So when I was rating this, I wasn't sure. It was like, am I rating it to like people seeking hallucinations? Is it a good course or not?
That's up, that's really up to you. If you love
Yeah,
hallucinations, you had some great
sure.
ones, you
It's
give
a
it a 10. And if you hate hallucinations, you didn't have one, you would also say that was a 10.
Or if you
yeah.
went across
It was a difficult
the
kind of.
restroom.
So
So,
like this, it was kind of like it would fall like middle ground for me on this one, like a 5 or 6, because it was kind of like there is something about like a real long thing like this, a multi-day, where you're kind of like you can get in a state where you're like, I'm still
yeah,
out here and I'm so tired, but then it's like daytime still, and it's
Yeah.
like then I've had and I just haven't had that many events quite like that. As you guys are just on such a consistent 200 milers and things, but my most comparable types of things where I'm out through the night or something like that, where it's just like more in a trail situation, seeing like just you know things large, just stumps, like
yeah,
that's a bear, that
yeah,
kind of
Yeah.
thing.
exactly.
Stick. I don't have to be hallucinating to be seeing stick snakes,
Like,
but and roots and things, but like I mean, just to it's just seeing a bear, not that far from me either.
yeah,
It's just the brain is just in a place where there probably aren't any bears, but or some other kind of different animal. So in this particular one, not too much, but one thing that may bump it up is you are certainly able to witness some of my favorite characters out there. They must be facing hallucinations by their time on the course, and just yeah, I mean, it's just so impressive and incredible. Like they're just thinking. I'm just thinking to myself, like I'm off for this time of the course, and they are just they're on. They're just
yeah.
on for such a long period of time, and it's a fascinating thing to watch. I think you could easily get more hallucinations out of this one. It would be your
Yeah.
call. Just stay on the course.
Your
Well, there's
call.
plenty of time for it. Yeah,
So what are we rating it?
I would say for that one probably like I would kind of go with a 6.
A
Yeah,
6.
for
All
me.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, how about the race versus description? We all know that RDs lie or embellish.
Yeah.
Just use the word embellish.
That's it.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, in that particular regard, I think that because it was kind of primarily on like what the timing organization, the aid station, the support versus the course itself. Yeah, I would rate it. I would rate it. It was very clear. I would go with a 10 on that one. I felt like kind of got really what I was expecting in terms of just what was organized and what was there and all the things that I needed. It's my only first and only timed event and multi day. So speaking from that perspective as well, I'm not sure. I can't really compare it to what goes on in other things,
Right.
from that standpoint. But I'll say that I was satisfied. In this particular edition I'm talking about, my first race, that the whole flooding situation was a huge challenge, and I think that they probably penciled that in for future. Like I see they kind of moved, tried to consider it more, but it was such a freak thing. And to be honest,
Right.
I was around. I was neighbors with Danny Westergaard, and I came. You meet all these different characters who are so, like I said, I'm not at that many events, and so I kind of found out at the time, way late in the race, that he had all these consecutive bad water finishes, and it was just kind of like a funny thing of our little playing off of each other. Like I'm coming in
Right.
kind of like this complete newbie, but I'm just like, hey neighbor, how are you? And he's oh, you're my best friend, and we're just suffering. We were just totally suffering in the swamp together. I mean, it was so ridiculous, that situation, that guaranteed I was coming back, because I was like, that was so terrible that I have to come back. That's a guaranteed some amount of miles,
Yeah.
And I see all these other people with these vans and RVs. I'm like, I am just the biggest noob over here. I'm like, I'm spending the money for that for the next time. So,
Heck
but yeah,
yeah.
this edition, I think that, yeah, really well taken care of, and yeah. Other than that, yeah, I think yeah, I was trying to think if there was any other mishaps. My little critique was at the end of the event when we had the award kind of ceremony. It kind of felt like it was a little I want to say, kind of thinking, well, not uneventful. It just kind of felt like it was not as like so exciting. But that's how the event is. You're out there for 6 days, and you're like, oh, darn. Okay, now it's over. But where we had that thing, it was like the sun was so powerful. I couldn't even focus there because it was just this weird timing where it was like everyone like, I feel my skin burning off my face right now. And but no, overall it was yeah. I'm satisfied with how they organize it. I didn't use the emergency tent or some of the other tents because of the station I had, and I didn't have any issues. But in prior years, I had something with my feet, and yeah, it's nice to know
Yeah.
that you have that support if you're worried about something going on. That's a huge bonus. So yeah,
Oh,
10 on
right.
that one.
The thing about those tents, the other tents you talk about, is they always have someone new to their, a new paramedic in there. And I walked in one time and this person had a blister, and this guy was just like wanting
You want to-
Oh,
yeah.
the medic was.
medic. Yeah, he was a
Oh, that's
paramedic, brand
nice.
new paramedic.
In training.
That's
In
oh
training.
wow. I would have thought, yeah, I would have thought that they would be. I guess everybody has their little things that they. I would think with a paramedic, I'd be like, oh, they handle, they can see anything or something. That's funny. I
He
guess
was
they
like,
don't deal
"That's
as
my
much
biggest
as
blister."
people don't have as many, you know, foot emergencies where they need a paramedic normally. So
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. So this is the highest race score we've had
Oh, wow.
on the fun side. Yeah, 7.7 out of 10.
Ooh,
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's very good. and the overall UTI score is 0.705.
Oh, looks like
That's
you're
the new
winning.
number one on
Yeah.
our
Oh,
list.
right.
You're
Yeah.
beating me, dang it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it makes. I mean, it does make sense. It just happened to be an event that I just, for the last few years at least, felt like
Yeah.
I couldn't miss kind of thing. And to be honest, the total cost of all the package, still, it's kind of like a thing of like, okay, for me feels kind of pricey, but with the many days that you get together, it's a different thing. But that just
Right.
is an example of, I was just kind of like, you know what, I'm gonna really enjoy this 6 days. So
And
it's worth it. It's worth the cost
yeah.
to spend what it's going to be to do the travel, the race fee, all the stuff, to go there. And a lot of my some of my prior ultra informal experiences in the last few years have been long trails and things where I might spend that same budget honestly over a month on
Right.
trail, and
Yeah.
still be comfortable and have a
Yeah.
place to stay and a shower and eat in restaurants and things. But that's just kind of like speaks to how I was saying, okay, well, you know, I can't,
Yeah.
it's just too good,
Yeah.
And I
So
think this case illustrates very well that even though your monetary
hmm
ROI kind of low,
yeah,
but with the fun and the experience and the rating of the whole race, you ended up with a higher score, right? Because
sure,
you really had a good experience out of it, and you can't really
for
just
sure,
put
yeah,
a price on it, right? So
yeah,
um, it would be different if you had 6 days of misery, right?
oh, for sure,
That
yeah,
would have been a waste of money, but here
yeah.
you spent
High
money.
risk, high return on that one, I guess. You know what I mean? Take your chances.
So yes, I think this is a great example of what we're trying to get out,
Right.
right? That it's not just
Okay,
about money and things. That there's a whole personal experience of a race that
sure,
might say, yeah, sure, I spent a lot of money, but I had a great time. So
yeah.
Totally worth
definitely the benefit.
it.
Yeah, totally worth
And
it.
on this, I mean, there was for me, just like I said, I keep kind of going back to the same theme. A number of years ago, I shifted a lot of my miles to a lot of personal adventures, just because part of it was a kind of live this a little bit of a nomadic dirt bag lifestyle, kind of seasonal work, when, time to time, living on give myself a lot more free time. So it just kind of shrinks my budget for the races, and or I'm usually always looking at the value versus a race, but there are things in an event that you can't get when you're just off on a
Exactly.
trail.
Right.
Um, and so, I am a competitor. I like to compete, whether it's with myself or just the people around me or whatever, watching other people do exciting things, on the course. And then just, yeah, this particular one, just all the being able to laugh and socialize and kind of and dress up and do all those things is like, it's really nice, kind of experience. But there is an element where I have another dynamic of it. I've been someone that's tended to, even at events that were more in the ultra range of 50K or just really tough marathons or a little beyond that. Yeah, up to 100K, 100 miler, where like I've done poorly on nutrition or patience, or I've really gotten myself in some really blown up spots, like often, where
Yeah.
I've been even in a 50K type of really strenuous thing where I just didn't really take anything in. I'm just on the trail, like basically seized up for 15 minutes with people passing by, like, "Are you okay?" And like whenever it stops, it stops. They don't get up. I
Yeah.
can't, just all kinds of things like that, and so many, quite a few moments where it's like I've had a lot more success at, say, 30K to a marathon running really strenuous trails, where I got that one. I really hit that race and did it like I wanted to, whereas a lot of things that were longer. So I had this kind of training up to it, and then sort of had a just complete annihilation of my body maybe a week later, where I'm just like still going down the stairs backwards.
Right.
Um, And then I was like, well, that's kind of made me trend towards this. I'm going to spend more money for one event, but I get all of these days, and because of the nature of how I'm going to be moving, I probably won't actually, unless I end up injured, I'll probably walk away and be extremely fatigued. But just the nature of the slow moving type of the event, because I just kind of feel like I'm forced into that just to do the best possible in the race. Um, and then the preparation going into it, it just fits really well with. I'm not that worried about a super specific type of training. It's just like get out a lot on your feet. I'm doing plenty of training to try to hit the goal, but a lot of it ends up being kind of like more run walk. So it's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
maybe that's just my ultra journey too of just like it's just becoming a lot more fast walk than run, and but it just meshes a lot better with things that I might want to do. One of my preparations for the event was a long walk across Italy, and so I could go do that
Wow.
thing that I wanted to do anyway. This is also why I signed up for the first edition of this, and why it's been so easy to fit into the schedule. Was I was always like, well, I can always come off from doing these other adventures and then use them as training too, um,
Yeah.
Right.
for the event. And so it just really aligned well with that kind of thing. And it's in the middle of this particular event, I've also recognized that at times when things weren't going so well, that at some point it was just impossible to stay down for very long, because you're just like look up and you're like, it's just so silly. Like this whole thing is just so ridiculous, and watching other people do it, and that you're in it too. So
Yeah.
you
Right.
can't help but find a soft spot for it, you know. So I'm pretty satisfied, and I'll continue to consider multi-day type of events, whether they're fixed or like longer things. Um, as a kind of real more costly but bang for your buck, honestly, to me.
Yeah.
Right. So
So
can I guess your race?
You
before we
could give it
get,
a try. I don't think you're going to be able to get it. I don't think you've heard
I
of
want
this
to
one
know
before,
before we start guessing,
but
were there any dinosaurs at this race?
any dinosaurs? You know what? I've heard legend of that. I've heard legends of that. I woke up at one point and I heard that there was a dinosaur stampede at some point whenever I was sleeping. It happened to be, yeah, I want to say around the New Year's time, or it's like I'm just thinking people are messing with me, but I really don't know to this day. But there's a
Okay.
strong, it felt like there was. I feel like I saw a print.
All right.
So it might
Okay.
be one of those the hoaxes. Like I don't know if that's what's going on, but it sounds crazy. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You're gonna guess?
Yes. I am going to guess, I don't know, was it 10 days or 6 days in the dome? No, it's across the years.
Yeah. I think you
And
have you
I
have
know
one. I don't know how you could have figured that out. Possibly.
I ran every year with you.
Yeah.
Um, I have shared a lot of miles with you, so we have discussed the sleep thing.
Yeah.
Um, I know
Yeah.
little details like he ate a bunch of McDonald's. I've
That was
heard
a
you.
big detail.
He just walks out from his RV and he's like, "Oh, do you know how many McDonald's hamburgers I just ate?" And he's calculating in his head what the calories were, and I'm just like, I'm mortified. But then at the same time, I'm like, why didn't you save me one?
Yeah. Yeah. Now we
Yeah, some of
say,
those calorie
I,
crunches. Yeah.
yeah, my favorite part of the aid station is when they have the chili night.
Uh huh.
That is that is so good.
Not me,
Yeah.
because I
I'm,
get
I'm
behind people, and chili night brings out gas
from
on
from
everybody.
from the minute we start the race, that's all I'm looking forward to is the chili night.
Yeah. You're looking for the sights and sounds of post chili.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I love. That another thing I loved about the race is just you're getting this. People are letting things fly. Sometimes you're getting these other sounds. Like I don't remember seeing any ducks walking around here. People are stepping on ducks. A lot of funny sounds popping up.
That's chili night.
Because
Yeah.
everybody's well fed.
Yeah,
So
they are.
Yeah.
things are
Yeah,
coming out.
Yeah.
It's funny.
I definitely agree with the 10 on the aid station.
yeah.
No matter what time of the day you come in, there's always a smiley face in there.
Oh
to
yeah,
cheer
yeah.
you up.
And
And
they don't care how bad you smell, because if you're running the 6 day, you want that 400. You have to trade in showers for being on course.
Sure,
And these
sure.
people in the aid stations, they're like, oh, come on. But you just know they're going,
uh,
"Dang."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All
Yeah.
these
You go nose blind when you're in it, but there.
nose blind,
yeah,
yes.
that's fine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I do want to comment on your dad. So I've had the pleasure of knowing him for 2 years now at these races.
Yeah.
And last year I knew Grumpy Dad, and he was like, "Oh,
Okay.
Mark, that Mark," and and I can remember him saying that, why are y'all slowing down? But
Yeah.
this year,
What could it be?
what
Yeah.
can it be? And this year, it was wonderful watching him to go and
It
get
was
that
so great
goal.
seeing him get
It
his first
was.
100 miles.
And
Yeah.
I tried that whole time just to make him smile. I wanted to know, is he always look grumpy or does he smile? And dang it, he had a piece of cake at this event and he put
Uh-huh.
it in his mouth and he smiled. And I'm like, oh my
That's what
goodness.
it takes.
That's what it takes is
Piece of
cake.
cake.
That's how you make him smile.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But watching the two of you over these 2 years, I mean, what is that like going with your dad? Does that make you like it's a good father and son thing, or if it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I need to make sure my son survives this,
Uh-huh.
or
Yeah, so for me, it was something I mean, initially, so my dad kind of, I guess, I don't know if it was maybe not long before the first one, he retired. And so
ah,
that was something about that. There was some timing to that. And so I think that there's probably some thought in my head of, okay, maybe if he comes out to this and he likes it, maybe he'll come out to other things and something we can enjoy together.
Right.
Um, and then just it's also a kind of event where I find that if someone's um, you know they don't have to do a lot of runaround. It's just whether they're willing to be out there for some days. And we had this
right,
RV, and so it could be a super comfortable situation for them, like not logistically hard to just kind of be around, kind of thing, if they're interested. And so it was kind of on that. But I was surprised whenever he agreed to the. I mean, it was a little bit of work to get him to kind of agree to coming out to the first one, just because I have two younger half sisters. I mean, they're coming out of college, but they're kind of still either studying or just starting to work, like I live with him, and my stepmom still works, and so they, just for him to go and be away for that period of time was not something that he was typically had done much or at all. Um, and so that was a new thing. So the second time around, this particular year we're talking about, he came out a little bit easier. Um, it seemed like it was something he was already considering. After the first edition, he was already kind of like, yeah, yeah, I'm curious about coming back. And then him deciding to join in the actual event started off kind of as, well, maybe if I join in, then I won't be restricted to just the early miles, like the 3 to 5 in the morning kind of miles. And I can come on
right.
the course whenever I want. And so it
Yeah.
kind of evolved without a lot of even conversation of kind of like, well, if you want to do some miles, extra ones too, and hit a goal or something, to kind of he really kind of went in on that. So that was really neat. Yeah, it was a really cool thing to see. I think that I'm realizing that in future years, um, it'll be. I think I came in with too many expectations around a desire for a kind of a like a crew where he was super helpful and he did a lot of crew things. There's just such a gap that he would never be able to know about what someone may be thinking, dealing with what they might need, how to handle someone who's in a race. I don't feel like I needed a big handler. I wasn't hallucinating or anything like that, but just to kind of be able to have the instincts of kind of like felt like at times it was kind of like, why don't you just do this and why don't you do that? It was kind of like, well, yeah, I'm trying to do that, or it's difficult, or this is a prop. So there was a lot of that kind of like back and forth where I think from his angle, he just, because like, I just don't understand. And in my angle,
Right.
I was kind of like, well, yeah, I know, and you don't, and that's why I don't know how to answer you because you don't understand. But it was super cool, very unique, and we even kind of joked about the idea, like, I wonder how many other relative or like parent-child,
Right.
are out here. I actually met another at the very end. I met another young lady, Denise, and she was out there with her dad. They were both in the 6th day, and so there was at least another pair of like
Right.
parent-child. And I was like, that's kind of cool. We can be in like a category. It's kind of neat. Um, have our little subcategories. I think we won that category. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
So I mean, YouTube.
But it was pretty, yeah, it was pretty neat. It was pretty cool. Yeah, it was just kind of grateful that he was willing and interested and to come out, and he liked it enough because again, I on the flip side am super drawn to the dressing up, meeting the people, just getting to talk with everybody, see what they do, and having a little micro audience to be silly and hopefully entertain people and keep their spirits up. And that's just not generally not his personality.
Yeah,
So
that's my
at all.
question.
Yeah.
When you walked out of the van, I'm sure this
Hmm.
is year two, and you were in doing what you do, power hour. What did your dad say? I want to know, what did he's like, oh, you're too old to play dress up, or
So I think he was aware of that I had dressed up the year prior. Um, and so he was at least aware. I guess he knew, but he is. I promise you this: it's not both of us in the. So like, how I would think about my ideal crew: we're in the camper and we're just like putting on the rock music and we're like, get pumped up, like getting in character and stuff. With my dad, it's it's kind of like a very, very. It's like, okay, dress up the thing, and he'll like reluctantly take a photo for me or something to start or whatever. I tried to get him to come out. I was like, hey, you mind like just capturing like a little bit of footage, because it's just difficult to capture it when
right?
you're just to post something of me in the character. But I get some from other people, and so it's still because he just does not want to be in the spotlight in any way or be drawn to someone being loud or anything. So it's funny. It's quite a challenge, but it's just I think what I get a lot of times is when people meet not even in an ultra running thing, but when people meet my dad, other friends, they are immediately just like, wow, like I can't believe that, like you guys are the father son.
Yeah.
I think my mom, I'm probably a lot more like my mom in terms of she's she just kind of in certain environments. I can be quiet like my dad as well, but be someone who can sing karaoke songs and do silly stuff sometimes. And
I don't
he's
know
not
that
like
much.
at all. He's not like that. He's not like that at all. But then from time to time, I see him going around and socializing with you guys, other people, chatting
Yeah.
it up and stuff. And I'm like, that's fun for me to see. I hope that he's having a great time, and it definitely feels like he had a lot. I didn't have to wring his arm really to jump in on
Right.
the second one. The first one was kind of like a lot of convincing, but the second one wasn't. So I'm really curious to see what if he's kind of like, I did my 100 and I'm good, or
Yeah.
he's
You're gonna
thinking
have to
about coming out for
come
more.
back. I
Yeah.
think, did you get your jacket this year, or you have to
I
come
did,
back?
yeah. I was able to get, how that wound up was I got into a stage where I was like, well, I don't know what my legs are going to do, so I'm going to do a fast walk to get to the jacket. And then I got just enough time. Then I was like, well, if I just keep this, I kind of just started to pull like, I guess I call it like a Yolanda or something, just like cruising, walking like a mad person, like she can do for 6 days straight
I
somehow
know.
and do 400 plus. I got in the zone with that for a period, thinking, okay, I'm moving well, like I can get to my jacket, and I was able to leave enough time on the clock to just say, well, if I just can hit these 20-minute laps for the rest of the, this all it takes is another 8 hours or something.
Yeah.
I
Well,
can
I don't know
get
if you
that
remember.
PR.
You came up to me. You're like, What's Renee doing? Where's he at? How many miles does he have?" And I'm like, "Okay." And then Renee's coming up. "How many more miles does Mark have? Where's he at?"
Yeah. I was
You
like,
gotta look at who's
I
going.
am fixed on what I think's gonna happen unless I completely
See, the
explode.
problem
And
is when you when you get up to the board,
Yeah.
you're already off the board, so I can't see how many miles you have
Yeah, yeah.
because every, yeah. So
It's a
I have to
challenge.
rely.
Yeah.
I have to rely on my coach.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Yeah, yeah. It
Will
was
you?
but it was a fun, yeah, it was a fun finish. I did get the jacket, and once I qualified for the jacket, I was kind of like, okay, we'll see, let's see. Let me kind of start jogging a little bit, jog walk, and see how the legs are. And I took off. So I was with
Yeah.
Mark Sanderson for a period because he
Yeah.
was kind of like fending off. I can't think of the guy's name that got second. Um, uh,
Oh,
he
that was
was
ISO.
yeah
The
Isaac
guy from Japan?
Yeah.
he yeah
Yeah.
he was oh this was he was the Bolivia the he's from Bolivia I
Oh,
think
you're
was the
talking
yeah
about
Yeah,
yeah
ISO.
ISO, yeah.
ISO
Yeah.
yeah. So he was kind of putting a little surge, I think, on Mark, and so I jumped on with them at one point, and I was kind of like, okay, you mind if I jump on with you? Maybe I'll give you some energy. Maybe you give me some energy, and just jumped on with them for a little while. Um, After I'd walked a bunch, so this is actually right before I was kind of getting close to the jacket, and so I was like, well, I probably could pick this up, like, and do this, and still make it nothing too bad happen. So I come on, I'm doing that, and then uh, I hit that number, and in my head, I'm thinking, once I get to the jacket, I'm gonna try to run a little bit and see what happens. And then I take off from them like just near, just like I'm gonna go ahead. And I mean, it was like it felt so. It wasn't that fast, but it felt so fast, and it
Yeah.
went for like 100 meters, and it was just like that energy level of like, no, no, this ain't like not like this, man. There's no way. You're not even getting like half a mile like this. And
No.
I did pick it up overall. Like I was moving decently well for that stage of the race for me, but it was quite funny. I had this little moment where I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have all this speed," and then it was like, no, it was like somebody just rolled something that was not that round. Took off good at first, and then it's like stopped.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so that was quite fun to see. Yeah.
But will you be back next year? Can I
So
get a solid yes?
so that's that I feel like it's kind of like a default thing. It definitely feels like there's some unfinished business
Yes.
there.
Yes.
Because of my mobile nature, it's always kind of like a thing that I'm. Is where am I going to be? That can increase the travel cost dramatically if I end up in some other kind of 3 to 6 month experience or thing. But yeah, right now I have to give it like a 7 of my 7 to 10 whether I'm definitely in for the next
Okay.
edition or
I'll
not.
take
But it's some unfinished business, and like I said, there's even a part of me that's just sort of like, it'd be really fun to go and even if I'm not gonna race, it's like, oh man, just to go back and see what people are doing, and maybe go full costume the whole time and pump people up and that kind of thing.
Oh, that would be fun.
It'd be kind of neat to do it. It's just it's such a good. I met a guy this particular time. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but I did a few laps with him, and he was kind of like someone who's really like a crew that really gets into crewing. Lots of runners at lots of different places and crewing and pacing. I think he's from North Carolina.
Yes,
And
I
was
know
around him.
exactly what
You
you're
know what
talking
I'm talking
about.
about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on his name now, but it's such a nice guy, such a cool guy. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And it was just like he gave me a lot of energy, and I was like, oh man, like I really like that part of it too, and could find that really enjoyable. So I got his contact, and I just I think maybe I even passed. I might have
You
tried to
did.
pass that on to you, yeah,
Yes.
because he just missed it at the end or something. Talking about the same guy, and he there's like had an intention when I'm in I'm out of the U.S. now, but in the U.S. at some point I need to go out to some more events even if I'm not doing them, and just have a good time, help some people, and
Right.
be quite fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, thank you so much. This was an excellent conversation.
Heck yeah. And you know what? I would like to have you back on after one of your long adventure hikes.
Sure. I am
Right.
actually also. I'm fine. I actually did sign up for my first outside of Across Steers event this year.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah, it's the Tour des Gens.
oh, really?
Yeah, so that's been the one race for me that ATY has helped me to kind of get to a point where I was like, okay, I feel comfortable with this kind of numbers, even though Tour de Jean is so insane on the climbing. So, I think it's a little over a 6 day cutoff for that too, and just continuous. So, I kind of finally got comfortable with the idea of like, okay, my legs can hold up at least to
Yeah.
get through it with all the distance and climbing. I can kind of see what's happened. So, September, sign up for that in September. So yeah, I'll hopefully be doing something, other adventures over 1 to 4 weeks. I'm hoping to do in Europe before that. Have some of the classics. Maybe just doing like a few day tour around UTMB and like fastback style, and then some other things in that region, or go to Corsica and do that, and some other ones. So yeah, hopefully
The
talk
Swiss,
about one of those things
380.
in the future. What's that?
You heard the Swiss 380. It was a 360. Now it's a
Oh
380.
yeah, there's so many crazy things. Yeah, on some of these on a trail I was on crossing the French Alps, I met a guy and he's like, "Yeah, I'm signing up for this Swiss Peak," and I was just like, "Wow, there's so many events that you just never heard of that are so extreme."
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of like they're the 200 milers, but it's just like you're just constantly going up to peaks and just really, yeah, really neat and impressive, and all the different options out there. So I'm super excited about this particular thing. I met a guy that was a friend of another friend. So I got some Italian contacts out there, and the past year got my Italian to a pretty good level, and so it's just kind of neat to be able to mix all those things together.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah,
I do want to leave you with one more thing. So
sure.
Singapore has a race that is an urban ultra. We've ran it.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
maybe you might want to look into that. I think it goes from 30 miles to 100 miles.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I have to
Yeah.
double check
It's
out
called.
my.
Well, thank you so much. And what time is it? So it's early morning over there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 8:30 here, so not too bad. Not too bad now. A little wet outside, but yeah,
Of
time
course.
for
Yeah.
time for some time for some coffee, and yeah.
The
What
famous
time do
call.
you guys have over there? You're kind of like 4 or something, or
Oh,
is it?
6:37 p.m.
Oh, 6. Okay, gotcha. Later than I thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys
Uh,
are you in New Mexico?
yes.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we
Gotcha.
left Louisiana.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Funny connection with the Singapore thing. That was just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, wow,
We
that's
got
a weird.
Denmark, Singapore,
Singapore.
and
Yeah,
Louisiana. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. I'll have to at some point on another race where we're gonna have some Pop Tarts together.
Oh, I
I
would
told
like
you.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's the
Give
Hindersneet. I'm
that
not pronouncing it
interesting.
right. The Hindersneet, and we'll have if we're there on a Friday, we'll have some candy. So that's what I
That
learned
sounds
about
like.
Denmark.
I think for across the years, I'm going to make some hindbærsnitte. I'm
Yeah,
going to
oh,
make
I'll
them.
have some. I'll
Yeah.
go spread the
Ham-
word. Yeah. Oh, yummy.
Home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only way. It's the only way.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Awesome.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
well, you have a good day,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, yeah. Appreciate it.
we'll talk again.
Yeah,
Yep.
fun chat. We'll be in touch.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Have a
All
good one.
right. See you,
Bye.
Nay. See you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye.